Recording in progress.
Everyone's here. Welcome everyone to the October 6th, 2022 school committee meeting. In keeping with an act relative to extending certain state of emergency accommodations, this meeting will be conducted remotely over Zoom. Attendance by the board members will be remote, and remote attendance should count towards quorum. The meeting will be broadcast live and recorded on ECAP. This meeting is open to the public. We'll take questions by the chat feature at the bottom of your screen. Please make sure to include your full name and address. We'll do our best to answer all questions. However, we will not read questions that have already been answered. All right. So first off is the regular school committee meeting minutes from Thursday, September 15th, 2022. Any questions, comments, edits? No? Okay. Can I get a motion to accept the
Michelle,
yeah.
sorry, I'm sorry. Just one minor. On page 3, school committee notes, second paragraph, Blanche Ames School, the S should be capitalized.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
That's it. Anything else?
I think that was my only one.
Okay. All right, so can I get a motion to accept the regular school committee meeting minutes of Thursday, September 15th, 2022 with a noted edit?
Star, so moved.
And can I get a second?
O'Neill, second.
Roll call vote.
O'Neill, yes.
Durance, yes.
DeLuca, yes.
Wiseman, yes.
Star, yes.
All right, excellent, thank you. All right, next up is executive session minutes from Thursday, August 25th, 2022. Does anyone want me to hold them for edits? Okay, so then I need a motion to either approve and release or approve and not release at this time.
I make a motion to approve but not release at this time.
All right.
Wiseman, second.
All right, roll call vote.
O'Neill, yes.
Durance, yes.
Wiseman, yes.
DeLuca, yes, sorry.
Wiseman, yes.
Star, yes.
All right, thank you. Next up is executive session meeting minutes from Thursday. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, Thursday, September 15th, 2022. Does anyone want me to hold them for edits? Okay, then I'm looking for a motion to either approve and release or approve and not release at this time.
Make a motion to approve but not release at this time.
Second, DeLuca.
All right, roll call vote.
O'Neill, yes.
Durance, yes.
DeLuca, yes.
Wiseman, yes.
Star, yes.
All right, so vote to approve a foreign travel trip to Quebec. Dr. Cabral.
Thank you. We are there again. We're starting to talk about foreign travel again. This evening, Rebecca Michael, French teacher at Easton Middle School, will present a proposal for a trip to Quebec for her 7th and 8th grade students. She's going to be joined by Miranda Zora from Forum. The trip will take place April 15th to 18th, and the cost for students will range between $769 and $1,006. And so I will turn this over to Mrs. Michael. Welcome.
Is my mic working?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, well, thanks so much for entertaining the proposal. I'm excited to be back with the Quebec trip. Our last Quebec trip happened in 2019. 2020, we had to cancel as the pandemic sort of took place. So it's very exciting to be able to offer this hopefully to my students again. So the trip is the same thing that we've been doing for the 3 years that I ran the trip. It's the exact same itinerary that I had ready for 2020. I was very excited about it at that point. So again, 4 days, 3 nights. The prices are a little different than what Dr. Cabral said. We had to adjust a little bit at the last minute. So I hope that you got the most updated version of it. It's minor. The low end would be $886 per student. The high end would be $1,040. And that's just having updated it from when we initially started the planning process last spring. So we have lots of really interesting and exciting activities involved. We've got a cooking lesson, we've got a visit to a First Nations village, a curling lesson, a circus lesson, a tour of the city. We hope to be staying at the Delta Hotel where we have stayed before. It was my favorite one we stayed at. And yeah, I think that was everything I had to say. So happy to answer any questions any of you have about the trip.
Does anyone on the committee have a question? I can't see you all at once, so jump in. Jackie?
Hi, thank you so much for being here. I'm happy that people are starting to travel again. You said you hope that you would stay at the Delta Hotels, the Delta Hotel. Is there a reason you think you might not be able to work it out with the hotel? Or is there a kind of another one that you have lined up just in case?
Yeah, so the tour company will confirm the hotel as soon as we have enough students registered to go ahead with the trip. So they just can't guarantee at this point that the hotel will be available. If it's not that hotel, it'll be a 4-star quality hotel. So there's a couple others we have stayed at. It was the one that I liked the most. So that's the one I asked them to try to get for us. But if not, I'm confident that whatever they will be able to come up with will be suitable, and hopefully we'll be able to get this one.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Zora, would you like to add anything?
I can just add a note about the hotels. Yes, we work with very reputable 4-star hotels in Canada. I can just give you examples. In Quebec, we have the Best Western that we work with. In Montreal, it's usually a Marriott Spring Hill Resort. And yeah, the availability, Rebecca last time had a trip that had over 40 students. So we're gonna see how it goes this year, and it depends on how many students there are. Right now, the industry is very understaffed and there's not a lot of availability. So we're all kind of doing our best, but we do have a lot of groups traveling. We have about 60 groups so far this year that have been confirmed, and more that are going into promotion right now. Canada has removed all COVID restrictions as of now in October. So things are looking up, but if you have any questions about, COVID, insurance information, legal stuff, I can answer anything like that you need.
Anyone?
No, I wish you a great trip. My one of my kids was on the trip that was canceled and he's still bitter. So he would love the opportunity to go along.
I had thoughts of like, could I swing back-to-back trips this April and take your son's group and this group, but it felt like a little much this time around. So I do think about that group though.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I was happy to see the COVID protocols, that they were laid out and seemed very well thought out. And I can tell you, from experience, the insurance process did work. I remember at the time, certainly there was a lot, right? We didn't know how it was going to work and what was happening. And, the insurance industry the travel industry was, of course, overwhelmed, right, with all of that. But we did indeed get everything back that we needed to. So it was, although the trip didn't happen, it was a good experience all around. And it felt like we were really well taken care of in terms of figuring out what was going to happen. So yeah. So anyway, no, I have no concerns.
Great. If there are no other questions, can I get a motion to approve the EMS foreign language trip to Quebec, April 15th, 2023 through April 18th, 2023?
O'Neill, so moved.
Can I get a second?
Star second?
Roll call vote.
O'Neill, yes.
Joanne's yes.
DeLuca, yes.
Wiseman, yes.
Star, yes.
Great. Have a wonderful time.
Tomorrow's my birthday, so thanks as an early birthday.
Oh, yay.
Very nice to get a yes on this. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Happy birthday.
Happy travels.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is discussion and vote to accept a donation from Easton Chamber of Commerce at Easton School's art program. Dr. Cabral?
Thank you. We have a couple of generous donations this evening. I'm happy to report. First is we have Kristen Shea, the chair of the art department, here with us. She is joined by Lisa DeVos from the Easton Chamber of Commerce. Lisa is looking to donate a portion of the Easton Chamber of Commerce's art show that took place on December 22nd at the Queeset House to the Easton Public Schools art program. And so I will turn it over to Ms. Shea. Thank you for being here.
Realized I had to unmute myself. I'm glad that I'm getting rusty at the microphones. And
Yes,
things
it's a good
like
sign.
that, right? Well, the art department just really wanted to thank Lisa and the Chamber of Commerce for their generous support and donation to the Easton Public Schools art department. It's organizations like yours that makes it possible for our department to enhance our already excellent art program at EPS. And we truly appreciate your support of art education.
We are so glad to do so.
Can you tell us a bit about the program, your program, and the donation, Ms. DeVos?
Yes, excuse me for 1 second because my dog is barking. I'm going to shut this door. I apologize.
Not
Yes,
necessary.
so we as the board of directors, I'm here on behalf of the board of directors, put together an art show and wine tasting that was September 22nd. And in putting it together and working with a lot of the local artists, which was the main focus of our event, and it was amazing, what they donated and all of the work and the effort that they put into it. In all of the planning, we came to realize, there's such an expense with the art, and there's rising costs of supplies. And we thought, well, how can we take this event, and not only the event was to not only help promote local business and the community, that we support, but then we wanted to make it something into the community. And of course, we wanted it to be related to art, and we thought, why not the schools, where obviously it's absolutely needed, and where they'll find the greatest benefit. So it was more of, it could just kind of evolved into a discussion, and and really working with the artists and seeing where they were coming from, that we it kind of evolved into that. So
Great, thank you for thinking of our students and our staff. It's very much appreciated and very generous of you.
And Lisa, my husband and I attended that event. It was amazing. Every detail. And as we walked around and looked at all the artwork, I wanted to buy about 10 of the things, but I have limited wall space. So anyway,
We see your high quality art, Nancy.
Well, I can't
It's
take
very
those
impressive.
Those are third grade, my kids.
Yes, it's very impressive.
Northeastern Grammar School. Anyway, but the whole event was lovely, and there were about a dozen members of the OA Chamber Orchestra there, with Kirsty Foy there, and the art, and just seeing people, and it was after that rainy night outside of Queeset in a tent, and it ended up being a beautiful evening. And like I said, I wanted to buy about 10 pieces of artwork. So maybe the next time I'll find some room and buy some more. But thank you very much for your donation.
Well, and I'm very glad to hear that. And it's and I'm glad you're right. The day that we held it was a very, very rainy day. The sun came out at 5:30, and we were we were very blessed that it turned into to a very dry evening. So but yes, the artists, it was just remarkable what was donated, and what we saw. So they made the evening what it was. So it really was all about them. And like you said, the chamber orchestra was amazing. I mean, they were absolutely perfection. And they added so much to the night as well. So yes.
It's just like you touched on every single, I don't know, between the food and the wine and the art and the music, it was perfect at every level. So I will make a motion to accept the donation from the Easton Chamber of Commerce to the Easton Schools Art Program.
Do I have a second?
O'Neill, second. Just a quick question though. Do we know what the donation was?
For the, do you mean the amount?
Yes.
Yes, it's a $500 donation.
Excellent. Thank you. Very generous. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay, so could I get a second?
I
second.
second.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry.
You have 2 seconds now. That's fine. O'Neill, yes.
Question. See, my dog's barking too, Lisa.
Okay.
Roll call vote, please.
O'Neill, yes.
Durant, yes.
DeLuca, yes.
Wiseman, yes.
Star, yes.
All right, and thank you very much for that donation.
Thank you
Have
for
a good
joining
night.
us.
Appreciated.
Michelle,
Thank you.
Yes.
if I could just mention that the reason I asked for the amount is that technically when we approve a donation, we have to know exactly what it is. So I didn't want to put anybody on the spot there, but it's very generous. And thank you again to the Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you. Good point.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You have a good night.
You too. Okay, item 5, I'm going to make a motion to table it to the October 20th agenda. It's not ready to be discussed yet.
Star, second.
Thank you. Roll call vote.
O'Neill, yes.
Durant, yes.
DeLuca, yes.
Wiseman, yes.
Star, yes.
All right, thank you. 6, vote to accept a grant from the Kyle Cares to OA. Dr. Cabral.
Thank you. Mrs. Kavanaugh, the OA principal, is here tonight. She is presenting a grant from Kyle Cares in the amount of $1,500 to help offset costs associated with mental health awareness. I'll let Mrs. Kavanaugh fill you in on the program and what it's about, but they are going to directly pay for Minding Your Mind, who will come and provide educational programming on mental health education to adolescents and teens, also their parents, teachers, and school administrators. Mrs. Kavanaugh?
Thank you very much, Dr. Cabral. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited about this grant. So we've been working closely with Jim Johnson and Kyle Cares in order to increase our programming around destigmatizing mental health and mental health awareness at the high school level. This grant that he provided us is funding 3 different opportunities for guest speakers to come to OA. So the first is a young adult guest speaker who tells their story of their struggles with mental health and overcoming them in order to get to the point where they're presenting to students, and doing 2 assemblies as well as a small group conversation with the students of our Active Minds chapter, which is a student-led organization and leadership program to destigmatize mental health within the school. The second presentation is going to be for parents, and that's next Tuesday night. I've sent a few reminders out through emails to families, and that's John Madelman and the guest speaker that we had here with our high school students, Wes Woodson, supporting students and parents in how they can support their adolescents with mental health. And then the third is professional development. So John Madelman will come back on our Professional Development Day, November 8th, and he's going to be our keynote speaker. And it's he titles it A Refreshing Look at Mental Health and Equilibrium for Educators. So how we as educators can both support ourselves and our students in finding that balanced life in a job that can be really challenging and has been really challenging over the past 3 years. So those are the 3 programs that will run with this $1,500 grant from Kyle Cares. Do you have any questions?
Anyone have any questions or comments or?
Well,
Jen?
I'm curious about the process of how you got connected with Kyle Cares. How did you get to know that organization?
Yeah, absolutely. So Kyle Cares was founded, I want to say maybe the first time I met them was when I worked in a different district. We were using Kyle Cares, based out of North Attleboro. Jim Johnson started the organization after his son took his own life successfully, and has been working really hard with other area schools, especially those in the Hockomock League, to bring this type of programming to students in the district. I mean, they're in their districts. So we met with him at the end of last year to get some support in starting our Active Minds chapter, and then again at the beginning of this year for this work.
Great. Well, thank you for bringing this to OA. Really
Mhm.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Carol, did you have your hand up?
I was just going to say that I think it's wonderful that we're having yet another resource to address what is, certainly a very significant issue that we're facing now.
Thank you. Me too.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Then can I get a motion to approve or accept the grant from the Kyle Cares to OA in the amount of $1,500?
Stars.
So moved, DeLuca.
All
I'm
right.
going to pull back.
Ben made the motion and Nancy seconded. Okay. Roll call vote.
O'Neill, yes.
Durant, yes.
DeLuca, yes.
Wiseman, yes.
Star, yes.
All right. Thank you. And thank you, Kelly, for doing this.
Absolutely.
All right. Oh, you don't get to go anywhere.
I don't. I'm here for a little.
You're next again.
I'm excited.
All right. Vote to approve the OA Student Handbook for 2022-2023. Dr.
Thank
Crum?
you.
Mrs. Kavanaugh is being joined by Mr. Flanagan, assistant principal at OA, and they have prepared some information for you about the 22-23 OA student handbook. They've made some adjustments. It's been brought before their Oliver Ames School Council and now is being brought to you for your vote. Welcome, Mr. Flanagan. Mrs. Kavanaugh.
Thank you very much. So the OA student handbook, although it's been reviewed for revisions such as updating contact information and people in the building, hasn't been reviewed as a whole in many years. And so Mr. Flanagan thankfully volunteered to support running a committee this past year to review the handbook. Now we're doing this in 2 stages. The first stage this year was to have students and faculty members basically clean up the handbook, remove information that doesn't belong in a handbook, make sure that the policies and procedures listed in there are up to date, as well as make sure that there aren't any policies or procedures that no longer exist. The second phase, and then bring the changes with the school council to review them and get their approval. This next year, 2022-23, we want to review the policies for several different things. One, making sure that they're equitable and inclusive, making sure that our code of conduct is incredibly clear, and with the support of the school council, and we're going to involve parents this time, parents, students, and faculty members. We'll be back here again at the end of the school year with hopefully a handbook that that is really clear and concise and ensures that none of our policies in any way exclude or make certain populations of our school feel as though there's something that's not in it for them. Does that make sense? So Mr. Flanagan and I are going to go through the changes with you kind of by bullet points. If you have any questions, please speak up. We also both have both handbooks on our screens so that we can kind of jump back and forth and read language to you that comes directly from the handbook if you have any specific questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Flanagan. He's going to start by sharing with you the things we added to the handbook. Then I'm going to review the things we removed from the handbook. And then we're going to tell you a few revisions that we made to policies.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. I got to say, on a side note, it was truly a pleasure working with students, teachers, and administrators as we really kind of take a look at this handbook. And their input was vital. The students on the committee were outstanding. And so as a committee, the following additions were made to our student handbook. We add in the bell schedules for Oliver Ames as well as the district calendar, which were not there prior. We added in a school map of the school as a resource for our kids. We added in course level descriptions and a description of the virtual high school to mirror what has been stated in our program of studies. And then we also added in an elevator pass policy, which is just a more or less a policy given. Students are given a pass. They show the pass to like teachers that are there by the elevator to ensure that they are given permission to use those elevators. And then also we added in attendance. So there are times during the day when a parent needs to dismiss their child and they didn't bring in a note, and we don't allow dismissals over the phone. So what we did was we created a OAHS attendance email where parents can send an email to the main office. Through that email, we verify that's obviously them, and then they can dismiss their child.
Thank you, Mr. Flanagan. Do you have any questions about those additions? No? Okay. So I'm going to go through the things we removed. Our handbook was quite lengthy because it included the department policies and course expectations for all courses. And that is something that typically does not really belong in a handbook. It belongs in your course expectations in your syllabus, and some of that belongs in the program of studies. So by removing that, we also removed almost 20 pages of the handbook, which makes it much more efficient, easy to navigate, and helps students find the information and parents find the information that they really need in terms of our policy and procedures. The school committee welcome at the beginning of the handbook was outdated, so we removed it, and we do welcome you to write another welcome if you would like, and we can add it back in. But we definitely didn't want to have something outdated in there. There was a section on departmental and graduation honors, which was awards that are given, which have not been given out as awards in the past. So we removed that. We do still have National Honor Society, excuse me. And students do still receive academic recognition at graduation for those who have performed at high levels academically and have those strong GPAs. The graduation attire was outdated and very gender specific, so we removed any type of requirements for graduation attire. There was information about SAT subject tests and speaking contests. Both of those no longer exist. So SAT removed the subject test back in January of 2021, and this speaking contest that was run by the VFW is outdated and no longer run. Same thing with our testing days and testing policy. There used to be a policy about certain subjects could only test on certain days of the cycle. Instead, we encourage students, if they are if they are given multiple assessments on the same day, that they can speak to their teacher and reschedule assessments, so they're not taking any more than 2 assessments a day, rather than limiting what the teachers are allowed, when they're allowed to give assessments. So one of the rules in Chapter 222, which is the bylaws around discipline, states that you are not allowed to predetermine consequences for any type of behavior without a hearing first. And there were several behaviors, including class disruptions, our tobacco-free policy, our truancy policy, our class attendance policy, and our tardy policy that all included language that predetermined an outcome for discipline, a response for disciplinary consequences. So we removed that language. Few more, I got a lot here. There was a senior activities section that basically said all the things that the seniors, the consequences for seniors who might disrupt the school environment or not follow our code of conduct. But senior activities aren't any different than any other activity, and we hold all of our students in the school accountable for the same appropriate behavior. So we didn't want to single out a section of where seniors are held in any way differently than other students. And then we removed any language that was gender specific and the COVID policy and procedures, which was actually a really nice button to hit delete on, and now that we're not doing those anymore. Okay, so that's the list of things we removed from the handbook. The final list that Mr. Flanagan will go over is the things that we updated.
So in terms of things that we updated the school personnel and contact information in the handbook. We updated the table of contents. Our prior table of contents was 3 pages long. So now it's one single page, very efficient and easy to navigate. We changed, it was X2 to Aspen because they changed their name too as well. We made a note about exterior doors. We added language regarding food, drink delivery and students opening doors for visitors to emphasize our school safety priorities. In our handbook currently, describes class colors. So there was an article back in the Enterprise that really described why we have class colors. So we provided a link to that article, so that way individuals can read about why we have class colors here at OA. We, to match our program of studies, we update our graduation requirement section, grade point average, and credits for courses taken outside of the school day. We update our cell phone policy. We deleted language that teachers will confiscate the phone. So currently right now, what we do is we have students put their phones when they walk into class into carriers, and or the other option is for them to put it in their bag. So students don't have their phone at all during the school, during classes. So there's no reason for teachers to take the cell phone device. And then all EPS policies and bylaws for Honor Society, School Council, and athletic departments were moved to the appendices. And the athletic director, athletic department bylaws, School Council, Honor Societies were all listed as links.
Very 21st century. Thank you.
That was a lot of information.
It was a lot of work, and so we appreciate your efforts.
No, it's huge thank you, Jen. Very, very grateful to that committee for all the hard work they did on this handbook. It was outstanding.
Any questions? Caroline?
Well, I would say most of these changes were way past due. I remember many years ago, we would actually look at the handbook pretty much every year for the first few years I was on the committee. And then it just was one of those things that fell into some black hole somewhere. And, most of us haven't given it a thought for some time. And there must have just been an enormous amount of truly antiquated elements in the handbook. So thank you again, TJ, and to the whole committee for your really important work. I mean, I'm sure the parents will be especially grateful.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? No? All right. Then can I get a motion to approve the OA Student Handbook 2022-2023?
Star, so moved.
Can I get a
O'Neill
second?
second.
Roll call vote?
O'Neill, yes.
Yes.
DeLuca, yes.
Wiseman, yes.
Star, yes.
Wonderful. All right. And thank you, TJ and committee. That was a lot of
you.
work. Basically,
Thank you.
rewrote
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, South Shore Consortium Early College Grant. Dr. Cabral.
Thank you. So I just want to bring you back a little bit to last year. I had discussed that along with 10 other of my superintendent colleagues, we were looking for a way to provide some more efficient college and career pathways to our students, particularly an early college effort. And we got together and formed we're aware of the first consortium. We call ourselves the South Shore Consortium. We signed an intermunicipal agreement with one another. And we have endeavored since that time to work with a consultant, specifically the Education Alliance, to create some very exciting pathways for our students, both for exploring career opportunities, but also some early college courses that students can enroll in. And we're just getting that going. I am happy to let you know that as a consortium, we applied for a state grant and were awarded a $100,000 grant for the consortium for this effort. And of course, it's shared amongst the consortium, but it's going to be able to fund several things. First of all, we have hired a coordinator of the program who's going to be doing more active outreach. As a group of superintendents, we were doing that, and I was you may remember I was visiting many colleges and universities around the Commonwealth, which is always exciting to meet them and to make those initial contacts. But after that, we really need a coordinator to work on behalf of all of our districts at the same time. kept running into the same 10 colleagues of the consortium at every place we went. And so we have a consultant that's going to do that now. We are also going to pay a stipend to a liaison at in every one of the districts. Our early college career pathway liaison is Mr. Fitzgerald in the guidance department. He's been doing a phenomenal job. And we are also able to fund transportation for things like school visits, for students to explore programs, for them to be able to go to community businesses and see particular career pathways in motion at the company. And we have been already subsidizing the cost of student enrollment in courses, their tuition, and also their tuition for the career pathways that we've been doing, the phlebotomist, first aid, where we are interested in getting an EMT program going. And we have some exciting partnerships with schools and universities. I mentioned a few last year that we had put together articulation agreements with. I'm not going to go into too much detail about them because Mrs. Kavanaugh is actually creating a presentation with Mr. Fitzgerald right now to let you know which students enrolled in what last year, what we were able to help them afford, and what programs we are working on right now for our students. So we've done several surveys with them. We've done career interest. We've done an assessment of the schools they'd like to go to, the programs they'd like to explore. And we've been able to get some very low cost options for our kids. Not only do we want to make sure that college is affordable and accessible to every student in the Easton Public Schools that is interested in pursuing that. But we also want to expand students' opportunities at schools they may not have considered before. So we really want to create that clean pathway where they can go with their friends and tour a campus and meet with the professors in that field and understand what majors can be explored for certain careers. It's interesting to have conversations with students about things like engineering. It's almost a buzzword now, and you ask a student what kind of engineering they'd like to explore or what exactly does an engineer do, and it's very hard for them to articulate that. And so now we're getting some hands-on experience for them, and I do look forward to the presentation that you're going to get. I don't want to steal their thunder, so I'll let them do it. We started slowly to make sure that we were only offering really top-notch offerings to our kids. I personally met with every college or university president, dean, to make sure that what they were offering was something that was going to be of a high caliber for our students. And so far, we are very excited about the schools that we're working with and with the ones that we are currently working to create articulation agreements with. So I am thankful to my colleagues. We've worked really hard together to kind of create something that didn't exist before. It has since become a priority of the state, and DESE is now providing a lot of these grants, and a lot of districts are benefiting from it. So we're happy to see that this is taking off. So I wanted to be sure to let you know about that grant. We're very happy about it. We have a couple more irons in the fire, and we'll certainly let you know if we're successful with those as well.
So that's not a vote. Okay, thank you. Item 9, review and possible vote on a Blanche A. Ames Elementary School dedication plaque. Dr. Cabral.
Okay. Jackie is, of course, the chair of the school planning committee and has been working very hard with Perkins Eastman to design the dedication plaque that goes into Blanche Ames. Ultimately, it is a vote of the school committee that is responsible for choosing that plaque. And so I'm going to turn it over to Jackie so she can share you the iterations and you can make a selection.
Thank you. Okay, so what we did to start with is we looked at the dedication plaques for RO, for the middle school and the high school, so we could get an idea of what's been done in the past and what we may want our plaque to look like. So we included those in your packet so you can get an idea. As Dr. Cabral said, we worked with Perkins Eastman. One of our designers, Dawn Guarello, I'm sure I pronounced her name wrong, and she drafted several samples for us. She's just incredible. So the committee reviewed and discussed several different options, and after going through a couple of different discussions, we agreed on the one that's provided tonight in your packet. And as Dr. Cabral said, it is up to the school committee to vote to approve the plaque. So I just wanted to go over a couple of items that we discussed. So if you look at the plaques in the other schools, you'll see municipal building committee members are listed. So in past projects, the municipal building committee had a large role in the construction phase of the school building. But in this case, it was all the school planning committee who made all the decisions and oversees the project. The municipal building committee was not involved in this. So the names on the plaque for Blanche Ames they're just the school planning committee members. We also discussed whether we should include former members of the committee on the plaque, because the committee goes back to 2017 and there have been some changes. So Lynn was kind enough to print out the membership going back to 2017. And when I looked at the members for each year, most of the members that are no longer on the committee were only on for that first year. There were 3 former members who were on for several years. That was Mark Lamb, Jamie Stebbins, and Rebecca Tellier. So we decided, since they were on for several years and therefore made a substantial contribution to the project, that we would include their names. The other difference between this plaque and the former plaques is that or the plaques from the other schools, is that we added a couple sentences about Blanche, which isn't done on the other plaques. But you know, when I think about this school and I think about the inspiration for so much that went into the school, you know, Blanche was just incredible. She overcame obstacles. She was true to her talents, and she never stopped developing those talents. And so when we look at the school and what it represents, I think what we want the school to be for our youngest learners is a space that will give them the tools to learn, grow, and have fun. And so we wanted to make sure that everyone knew why we chose Blanche Ames as to name the school after. So that's why we included a little bit about her. The last thing that we need to discuss is whether the plaque would be in bronze or stainless steel. The other plaques are in bronze, and the designers told me that there's not a cost difference between bronze or stainless steel. So I put it out to the committee members, and of those who had an opinion, the majority thought a stainless steel plaque had a more modern look, and so that would be the best option for this school. But again, this is the school committee's decision. So, you know, please feel free to give me, nothing's finalized, nothing's in bronze or stainless steel yet. So please give me your opinion on the plaque, how it's set up, you know, what you think of it, whether you'd like stainless steel or bronze.
Jackie, is the Richardson Olmsted one bronze? I mean, a bronze stainless steel?
Yeah, it looks like steel, but we're not really sure what it is, because it's silver, but then it's blue, and we're not really sure what it is. So.
They did say that if it were stainless steel, it wouldn't have the color. It wouldn't be blue on it. It would be stainless steel.
It would just be, right, stainless steel.
The entire thing would be stainless steel.
And so clearly we don't know what that would look like. We don't have, you know, a replica to look at like we do have with the bronze. But I have to say that this design team is phenomenal, and anything that they work on comes out unbelievable. So I have complete faith in them. Say that again?
What color would the font be then?
We haven't discussed that. I don't know. I can certainly find that out.
Michelle?
Yeah,
I don't know why the font would be a different color than the black and white, but the thing that I wanted to mention is that Jackie several times said, we did this, or we did the research to look at the other plaques and so on. She should have said I, meaning Jackie, because she put an enormous amount of effort into this, you know, to kind of coming up with something that the school planning committee then really quite enthusiastically endorsed. So I should mention that.
what do you understand about my comment though? Because I'd like to clarify it.
Well, I guess I'm just looking at it online, and, you know, it's all in black and white. So it's hard for me to tell exactly what I'm assuming.
When you
that
look at the bronze ones, it's a bronze background with a black face. So when it's etched out, you see the bronze. And then when you look at what we're going to call stainless steel, because I don't know, there's a blue face, but when it's etched out, you see the stainless steel. And what I thought I heard Jackie say was it wouldn't be blue, it would be all stainless steel. So my question was, how are the letters going to stand out? That was my question about the font.
Yeah, and I don't have the answer to that. I can certainly get it.
Okay. I just want to make sure Caroline understood.
No, I was assuming they'd be black, but I don't know why I assumed that. I really didn't have a basis for that. So that is a good question.
I love the setup of it, like just the design.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the layout's fantastic. And I love the addition of the story behind,
Yeah.
you know, why we picked that name. I like that focus.
And the
And I love the inclusion of our logo.
Jackie also, the Blanche Ames, the little blurb about her was 95% Jackie. There was one small addition by someone else.
I also like the fact that you added at the bottom, funded by the citizens and with help with the Massachusetts School Building Authority. I think that's very important for the townspeople because, you know, even though the townspeople put into all the other schools too, I think having that on the plaque, I think it looks great. I vote for the stainless steel myself.
So what I can do is if we want to vote to approve the plaque, if that's what you want to do, I can do that. And then I can just clarify with the design team what the font would look like on stainless steel versus the bronze. And then we can decide on that as well.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right, so then can I get a motion to approve? I don't know how you want this read, Jackie, just to approve the plaque in general?
To approve the plaque for the Blanche Ames Elementary School.
Design and content.
What did you say?
Design and content.
Okay,
Right.
so can I get a motion to approve the Blanche A. Ames Elementary School plaque, the design and the content?
So moved, DeLuca.
I get a second?
Star second.
Roll call vote.
Yes.
Durance, yes?
DeLuca, yes.
Wiseman, yes.
Star, yes.
Wonderful. Thank you guys for putting
Good
that up.
work.
Good work. All right. Vote to approve guidelines for closing out positive balance in lunch account. Dr. Cabral?
Thank you. The school committee currently has a policy, EFC, for food services, which includes a charge policy. It pertains to the lunch program and it's been included in your packet. There's a guideline if there is a negative balance in a lunch account, but there isn't a guideline for a positive balance. Currently, there is $8,676 of positive balances of inactive students. What I am recommending tonight is that we have a policy for what we do with that money. I would suggest that if there's anything, if a particular family has less than $10 in an inactive account, the student has left the system or they have graduated, then we would close out that account. There is $1,004 in that. However, if anyone has $10 or more in this inactive account, I would suggest an annual notice to those families, providing them 3 options. One option is they could transfer that balance to a sibling or another student in the system that is currently active. The second option is that they could get an immediate refund, which we'd send directly to them. Or third, they could decide to leave the balance and donate it to the food service program. There is a revolving account line for food service. We do not yet have a particular designation for that. In the past, we have done things such as provide a scholarship for a student, or even at one point, I believe there was a scholarship for the child of a food service employee. We don't have a recommendation yet. We want to just get a policy first and determine what it is we will have in that account. If that account is going to close out, or if it's going to have a more substantial amount of money in it. And so, again, I would recommend that if there's anything less than $10 on an inactive account, we close it. Anything more than $10, we send an annual notice giving them 3 options of what they can do with that money, including, of course, a refund if they would like that.
When you say close it, do you mean transfer it to the food service?
The food service revolving account.
Any questions? Comments?
I think that all sounds reasonable. How many accounts are you talking? Do you have any idea how many families?
I don't know how many accounts that is. I could certainly find out for you if you'd like.
No, just curious. No need. I just imagine it's a lot of administrative work to clear this out.
That's what we don't want, is to have their money. We'd
Right.
rather return it to them, or make sure we have an idea of what their wishes are for it.
Yep.
So we're not changing the policy, we're just creating guidelines.
Correct.
So we don't need multiple readings.
No, you just need to vote on whether this guideline is acceptable to you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? All right. Can I get a motion then to approve the guidelines on closing out a positive balance in lunch accounts?
Wiseman, so moved.
I get a second?
Star second.
Roll call vote.
O'Neill, yes.
Durance, yes.
DeLuca, yes.
Wiseman, yes.
Star yes.
Great, thank you. Superintendent recommendation and possible vote to appoint a finance director, Dr. Cabral.
So Lynn is going to bring over our guest this evening, and I would like to welcome Andrea Starjevsky, who is joining us this evening from California. I first want to thank the several committee members that worked with me on this very important role filling. We had a screening committee, we had an interview committee. Ms. Starjevsky went through multiple interviews with those committees. Jennifer Starr here on the school committee was a member of the screening committee, and she can attest that it was a good amount of time that they dedicated to the process. Very clear that they had a seriousness of purpose, and I really appreciate the time and effort that they put into screening applicants for the subsequent interview that we had here in central office. I then was able to have several conversations with Andrea, and of course did multiple reference checks, social media scrub, all of our exhaustive hunts. And I can tell you that all I kept uncovering was more and more and more reasons why we would be very fortunate to have Andrea join our team. So I will start by telling you that the screening committee was very enthusiastic about Andrea's candidacy after we met. The same was true after the second interview as well. You have a copy of Andrea's resume, but for the public, I would just highlight a couple things. Andrea has a bachelor's degree from UMass Boston in management with a concentration in accounting, and she has a master's degree in accounting from Babson. She is currently the finance director in Arcata, California, and is looking to relocate back to the area where her family is, specifically in Easton. She has experience in municipal government, obviously, as the manager of that town in California. Also has experience at the Housing Authority of Santa Cruz, and before that, corporate experience. I will say that for our second interview, we were very aggressive, if you will, in determining Andrea's capacity specifically for transferring her clearly deep and professional knowledge of accounting procedures. And asking her to really explore and research some key financial terms and concepts in school finance in a short amount of time. In addition, giving her our almost 90-page budget for the Easton Public Schools and asking her to do a high-level review of it and to come with some questions and some observations about the budget. Andrea's presentation and explanation of what she presented were exemplary. Her questions were extremely insightful and showed a deep level of understanding for concepts that she truly was exploring for the first time. The application to a school is different, but I have every confidence that Andrea's municipal and corporate experience is something that she is easily able to transfer to a school setting. She has shown us professionalism, very quick preparedness, understanding of high-level concepts, and she's, as I said, already developed some very keen insights and observations about the Easton Public Schools. I will add a few of the key points from the effusive praise she received from her references. I was told that when she went to Arcata after leaving the corporate world, she basically had 95% of brand new material to learn, and that she was able to do that seamlessly and effectively. That her accounting practices, methods, and knowledge are contemporary and strong. That in 4 years, she has done tremendous work and re-standardized their budget documents for the city. She's open and willing to train and explain practices. We saw that very clearly in the last interview we had. They do not have one department head in Arcata that has not expressed heartbreak about Andrea's possibly leaving. She has met and exceeded all the expectations of her supervisors, especially during COVID. Very easy to manage and well-liked by staff. She worked with unions and worked very hard at supporting staff. She is considered by her peers to be fantastic, hardworking, positive, a team player, always willing to help others. She's a go-getter who gets the job done and is very attentive to details. I was told that it will be the best decision you could possibly make to hire Andrea for your school district. I am one who is very interested in making good decisions. And so therefore, I would like to enthusiastically and excitedly present to you my final recommendation for finance director for school committee consideration of appointment, Andrea Starzewski. I do know that we have at least one member of the committee who is watching the meeting. She did express her excitement. That is a parent representative, but she declines to comment. However, since Jen was on the committee, certainly if you'd like to comment, I would welcome you to do that. I then would like to give Andrea the opportunity to address you, and then certainly the school committee will have as much time as you'd like to ask any questions of Andrea, of me, of Jen, and then I would ask you to consider or entertain a vote of appointment. Jen?
Okay. Great, thank you. So I absolutely and unequivocally share Dr. Cabral's enthusiastic recommendation to hire Andrea. She was an impressive candidate from on paper to the first Zoom interview, and to her credit, she was the only one who had to Zoom in for the first round of interviews, which can be pretty challenging, and handled it well. For those of you who've sat on one of our hiring committees, it's kind of a firing squad of many people, about a dozen people. So to handle an interview like that, and to be able to connect even remotely, boded well. And then Andrea was gracious enough to come out to Easton, to fly in to meet with us for that interview. It was a quick in and out trip, and I'm really glad, Andrea, that you were able to come in person. I think to get in a room with you and see you interact with the team who you'll be working with if this moves forward was very telling. So I felt like I can sharing with the committee, it felt like she was already part of the team and ready to roll up her sleeves and get to work. So again, we had highly qualified, we had a nice pool of highly qualified, excellent applicants, but Andrea, to me, it was definitely the right choice to move forward as a finalist. So I really enthusiastically recommend her for this position.
Andrea, I'll turn it over to you if you'd like to address the school committee.
Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Cabral. Good evening, school committee members. I just wanted to say that I'm very excited for the opportunity to potentially serve the students, parents, staff, and the school committee members of the Easton Public School District. It was a pleasure getting to know the different department contacts, the different pieces and parts of your organization, going through the first round of interviews, then sitting in with the close-knit administrative group last week for the second round of interviews, and sitting down with the team and listening in what they're looking for in a team member, what they're looking forward to accomplishing with the future finance director, and just moving the Easton Public School District forward in a very positive direction. So I just welcome if there are any questions that you may have for me tonight, that I'm able to answer those. But once again, just thank you for the opportunity. I'm very excited if I am chosen and you move forward with me as a final candidate for finance director. I look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you. Anyone on the committee? Oh, I see hands. Jackie?
Thank you. Welcome. It's nice to meet you, Andrea. So I know you have municipal background, but not school background. Was there, when you were going through this process, was there anything about the school budget process or anything involved in that process that was surprising to you, or that you hadn't maybe seen before, or you had done a little differently, anything like that?
I guess not surprising, but as I was getting familiar with Easton Public Schools, just some industry benchmarks, looking at budget and realizing that because you are providing educational services to students, the budget is personnel heavy as far as percentages. And most organizations, personnel costs are one of the largest costs. But I think just researching, I didn't realize from a school budgetary perspective that personnel costs typically comprise about 80% of a school budget. So that was something within the budget process that I learned in researching. There was also another learning point as far as what the grant process looks like for the state of Massachusetts. It is different than what I'm used to for the city of Arcata currently in California, where you are beholden based on time restrictions at the beginning of the school year for when grants can be drawn down. So I would say those are some of the learning curve items that I encountered when researching for this particular position.
And did you ever work with revolving accounts in your other positions?
So revolving in the sense of only from like a short-term debt perspective, but not from a restricted cash perspective. We have trust accounts here at the state of Arcata, so I think they're similarly structured, but I would have to do more research just to get more familiar with what a revolving account looks like from an accounting perspective for the public school district for Easton.
Are there any things you want to know about school committee or any questions that you have for us?
Not particularly just school committee, because I realize if I'm chosen, there'll be multiple interactions in the future. But maybe overall, just trying to understand all the different subcommittees that are tied into the school district. I feel from a quick research on the calendar, it does look like there are different committees that are associated with the school district that I'm just not familiar with yet.
Yeah, we do have a lot of subcommittees. Definitely. We have the school subcommittees and we have the town subcommittees. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Caroline?
Well, I would just say in terms of the subcommittees, there would be very few that would have any kind of financial implications. But I wanted to, I'm sure you've already been told this, it's just almost a technicality that the school committee votes on the finance director. And we have great trust in both our superintendent, who was obviously involved in this process, and in our fellow member, Jen Starr. So there's no question in my mind that you are the star that has been described to us. So welcome.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Although Jen's probably asked a million questions already. All right, great. Then I would like to, I'm not sure how we want to do this. Do you need it worded a certain way? Or
It's you would move to vote. I'm sorry.
Just vote to appoint
Andrea Starzewski as finance director of the Easton Public Schools.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion to approve Andrea Starzewski. Am I saying it right? Appoint to finance director. Do I have a second?
Star second.
And a roll call vote.
O'Neill, yes.
Durance, yes.
DeLuca, yes.
Westman, yes.
Star, yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Congratulations, Andrea. Welcome to Easton.
Yeah,
thank you.
We're excited.
Same here. Thank you very much. Have a great one.
I'll talk to you very soon.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Update on SRO, Dr. Cabral.
So I actually have a meeting with Chief Boone on Thursday. So I was hoping to have the final MOU for you, but you know, he's a busy man. I'm a busy woman. We've tried to get together. We really are thinking we're putting the final touches on it, so we should have it for you for the 20th. However, I did share a document with you today on a really the vision of the program, what it is and what it isn't. It's something that we've reviewed together. We're in mutual agreement on it, and I thought it was important to share that with you. And the MOU, as soon as it's finished, I will share with you as well. I anticipate I should have it on the 20th with no problem. There are no sticking points for us. There were just several areas where we had to add information. The school department had to add information that was specific to schools, and the police department has to add information specific to the police department. It is a state generated template. We need to submit it with the state. And so we will be doing that. I fully expect we'll have it done by Thursday. Our legal counsels reviewed it. They made 2 small recommended changes and the chief enthusiastically accepted them. So I believe on the 20th we'll be all set, and we've already moved forward to have a meeting with the sole person that applied for the position. So I look forward to meeting with that person, and I'll keep you updated on the progress.
Great. COVID update, Dr. Cabral?
Michelle, may I ask a question?
Absolutely.
This is about the SRO. I noticed, well, there was just, I'm sure you saw the typo at the end where the words had to be separated, to the criminal at the end of I'm sure you saw that, the document that you sent us. But the main question I had, you have EPS will record statistics on the interactions of schools and students with the SRO based on several indicators, including race. First of all, I guess I would say I would record data rather than statistics, but I'm wondering if there's some way that we can have an agreement on how frequently that data would be collected, and also if that would be public information and how that would be made available to the public.
Sure. Thank you. I will discuss that with the chief on Thursday. Thank you.
Yeah, it just says statistics will be collected, but that's kind of vague and it doesn't really talk about frequency or, as I said, sharing data. So thank you.
Understood.
Okay, anyone else about SRO before I move on? Okay, sorry about that. Caroline? COVID update.
We don't have an update. I haven't said that in 2.5 years. So.
All right, public comment. I'm looking. It is from Rachel Alderman, Riverside Terrace, Northeastern. And she was just looking for the email address for the early dismissal at OA.
Sorry, Mrs. Alterman. Did they say what it was? I don't think.
Yeah, I have it if you want me to read it. It's in the handbook
Yes,
draft.
please. Thank you.
So, so it is OAHS, then the word attendance. So OAHS ATTENDANCE at easton.k12.ma.us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that question, Mrs. Alterman, because I don't think we mentioned it when that presentation was made. So thank you.
All right, great. I think that's the only question. And superintendent notes, Dr. Cabral.
Okay, I have a couple. I'm going to repeat again. Our openings are several, particularly substitutes in just about every area and paraprofessionals. So if anyone is interested in either position, please let us know. We are also advocating for our food service vendor, Whitson's, and our transportation provider, Lucini. Just quick updates that are affected by the lack of viable employees who are applying to these positions. Not unusual to Easton and not unusual to education, but food service options, unfortunately, are limited right now because of the lack of staff. We did have some issues with the federal funds that were providing the meals and the restrictions that were in place during COVID. We don't have that anymore. We don't have to pack the lunches, pre-package them. We don't have the grab and go. We can have the food service. Right now, it is simply a matter of staffing, and that is all. So we are looking to increase the staffing. We apologize that the meals are not what they were prior to COVID, which is fabulous. Whitson's is a wonderful provider, and we've been very happy with them, but they are limited by lack of staff. The other area is transportation, and our bus services have been interrupted, unfortunately, and it has been a cause of great frustration for staff and families alike. We have 2 more drivers that have been added to the staff at Lucini Transportation in particular, and we're hoping that will help alleviate some of that. We have had some delays for sure. We have had some lack of communication from the vendor to give to families. Unfortunately, we have office staff who are also licensed as drivers who are having to fill in for drivers, and so they're not as accessible to us or to call us. We have tried to tease all of that out. I think we have that under control now. And so we are very hopeful that we can alleviate that frustration for people. It gets beyond frustration. You can imagine if you have a small child, you're waiting for them to get off the bus isn't showing up because it's delayed and no one's contacted you. That's very frustrating for all of us. And I know as an educator and certainly as a mom, how that is. And so we are very apologetic for that. I think we've worked it out. Again, it's caused by staffing issues. So hopefully we can solicit some more and applicants for those positions. Just contact our office if you're not sure how to get in touch with Whitson's or with Lucini, or you are looking for what positions are open. Please give us a call. We're happy to spend any amount of time helping share that information with people. The next thing I wanted to just note, I know the school committee is aware, but I think it's important for the community to be aware as well, that our Assistant Superintendent, Chrissy Pruitt, is not here this evening. And the reason she's not here this evening is because she applied for, worked very hard for, and earned a scholarship to Panama. And she is there right now. She just got there today. She is studying global competency on behalf of our students. She's going to bring back information particular to STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, social emotional learning. She's also studying the cultural and economic systems of Panama. She is one of 3 out of 45 applicants in Massachusetts who were selected for this honor. And so we look forward to her coming back and sharing her experiences with the school committee and certainly with our students and enhancing what we can offer our students in terms of global competency. Also, our survey for our upcoming or soon to open daycare program, childcare for staff, went out today. I think I sent it out at the end of the day. We already have 22 enthusiastic responses from staff. I'm going to leave it open for a week. I encourage any staff who has not completed it, who thinks they may be interested in childcare. It's non-committal at this point, but we need to assess interest. Especially, we need to assess interest in particular categories. There's an infant category, a toddler category, and a pre-K category. This is specific to our staff. Many employers offer a benefit such as this. It is tuition based and the employee will be responsible for tuition. We are working in partnership with our amazing Easton YMCA childcare program. It is going to be, at least to start, in the Blanche Ames Elementary School until we outgrow the space, and then we may need to be in another building, but it certainly is, it will be starting there in the 22-23 school year. So we're in strong preparations right now. School schedules can be very difficult in terms of securing childcare because typically in a childcare situation, you need to reserve spots year round. So for example, if someone is in a program for childcare, even for a staff member that, for example, is not working in the summer, they need to pay for daycare throughout the entire summer and all vacations. We have such a great relationship with the YMCA that we have been able to negotiate the option for our staff to not have their students attend, but still be able to reserve their spots. If the students don't attend in the summer or during vacations, they will be able to do that. We also have been able to offer staff the ability to have some childcare services potentially during some evening events. We have a lot of coaches on staff. We have people who are advisors to groups and activities, and we have back to school nights and social events at schools and volunteer events for staff. And so we're hoping to make all of that a bit easier for them by providing this childcare option. If we have spots available, then the spots will then be open to any employee of Easton, and then it would open to the larger community in Easton. So we're very excited about this starting. We know that not only is it a benefit for our staff, but it's going to offer a benefit to all of our students. You have a much more present professional when they are not worrying about their child, or they're not far away from their child if they live quite a distance from the district. And certainly making it more accessible for them to be here to provide support services for kids. So we're very happy. This has been about 5 years in the making. We're really excited to see it finally sort of develop. And so that survey went out today to, again, great reception. And finally, we had a presentation by Katie Greer. Katie Greer is an expert consultant in technology, particularly with teen and adolescent and even children use. She's a former employee of the District Attorney's Office for issues of cyberbullying, cyber attacks. That, again, was very well received. That was offered. We typically have Ms. Greer come and present to the middle school students and then to parents in the evening. And we realized at this particular presentation that with COVID and not having her here in the district for the last couple of years, we have maybe a gap in some of the students who are freshmen and sophomores at all of our Ames. And so I've already talked to Ms. Greer about coming back to the district and offering this presentation for all of our Ames students as well as their parents. So if that's something you're interested in, responsible use of technology, suggestions about using technology, and some of the real and present dangers of technology for our kiddos, please watch for that announcement. I don't know yet when she's coming. She has a very busy schedule, but we will bring her back this school year. That's all I have right now. Thank you.
Caroline?
I just have a question. You said that the daycare option would be available the 22-23 school year, but did you mean 23-24?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to make sure. I thought at first maybe we were just really ahead of schedule, but okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure.
Yes, it's not this school year, even though we're planning to move in January. It's not something we want to start mid-year, so we'll start it in the 23-24 school year. Thank you. And it is, I'm sorry?
I was just gonna say, I thought that would be a little much to try to also include that as we're opening the new building. So thank you.
And we're also preparing because, of course, another huge benefit of this is that it's going to serve as like a lab, so to speak, for our childcare program that we've been putting in place for the last few years. And so being on campus now, all our schools together on campus, our high school kids can come over and work in the program. And so we need to prepare that articulation agreement with the YMCA. How is that going to happen? What are the students going to do? Those kinds of things. So we're going to spend the rest of the year doing that.
So I have a question. The staff of this daycare though will be YMCA?
Correct. Yes.
So we don't have, so what are our costs for this?
The district?
The district. Obviously it won't be salary, but it would.
We are providing the space.
Space, the electric, the heat, things like that.
The tuition will be paid by the individual employee.
And that money will go to the Y?
Correct.
Do we get any of that to help offset the utilities?
No, because the utilities are going to be nominal because there are classrooms in our schools right now. That's why I said if our enrollment gets to a point where we need those classrooms, we're going to need to put them in another building. So it isn't really going to significantly increase any of our utility costs.
So supplies to the room would come from the Y.
Correct. Unless they have to do with our students and what they're doing in the program. And that will come from the career pathway grant.
Our OA students.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Awesome. That's exciting. All right. Chrissy's not here, so we don't have assistant superintendent. School committee notes. Caroline?
Okay, Leisha, I just wondered, you wrote that beautifully comprehensive email to a parent who asked about the difficulties that were occurring with the bus scheduling. And I'm wondering if you think it would be a good idea to send that to all parents. I'm not sure people really are aware of how the shortage of drivers is affecting not only our program, but really programs across the country. It might be useful just to kind of give parents an idea of what's going on. I thought that email that you did send to the one parent was excellent. But what do you think? Would you be comfortable sending that as a general email to the parent population?
Actually, on my other screen is my next newsletter, and I actually have it in my newsletter to send.
Oh, good.
As opposed to an additional email, I wanted to update everyone. We did just have a meeting today to determine the status of the 2 drivers, and so I was waiting for that information to come. So I hope to get this out as soon as possible. But it
No, that's good to hear. I just wanted to be sure that kind of everybody knew what we were experiencing in terms of that shortage. So my one other question is, we have this great new athletic director, but as you know, whenever someone transitions to a new job, a major post like that there's that period where you don't know if anything's been lost in translation. So my question, I know that we have always been very diligent about making sure that the turf is safe for our student athletes, but you know me, just read another couple of articles and this was about actually the dangers that turf as it ages poses to students, to kids, or to anyone who's on the turf, because there's a lot of rough and tumble play, and it can become very hardened, and students can actually experience significant head injuries if they're, thrown onto the turf or whatever. And so the turf has to be tested periodically. I know we have been doing that. I just wanted to make sure that with our new athletic director, he was aware that that was an important part of our diligence.
Yes, thank you. He is, so he doesn't perform the maintenance personally.
Right.
So the maintenance is still being done by the same people, but absolutely, we'll make sure he's up to speed on all aspects. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's all I have. Oh, I should mention that we just had this wonderful professional status event, but I'll let other people talk about that.
All right. Circle back to me. So Nancy?
Okay, last Saturday night was the Oliver Ames Athletic Hall of Fame event down at the Easton Country Club. I think about 10 players, a citizen, Jack Mason, and the 2010 Oliver Ames High School girls basketball team were all inducted into the Hall of Fame. It was a lovely event. They did a great job. This was something that was supposed to happen 2 years ago, but because of COVID, it didn't. So very nice. Speeches were great. The kids were great. It was really a nice evening. So it's always good to see former students that are now in their 30s. Oh my God, that's crazy. Also, as Caroline said, tonight was the professional status for teachers that have been teaching in Easton for 4 years. Well, it's just started their 4th year. And that was a lovely event. And Dr. Cabral gave a lovely speech. And I Oh, I just wanted to remind people, I know it's like over a month away, but Monday, November 14th is town meeting at the Oliver Ames High School, 7 o'clock. So there's a lot of important items on that docket. So just keep it in the back of your head that it's coming up in November. Okay, that's all I have.
Jackie?
Thank you. So just a couple of quick things. First, Nancy and I have started attacking the policy manual. So hold on, there'll be policies coming. And also just update on the Blanche Ames School. It's looking great. It's still on schedule. Lockers are in, little footprints are on the floor, little colors are coming on the stairs. There's the just cutest pre-K playground set you've ever seen. It's amazing. So yeah, so we're getting excited about that. Furniture is going to start to be delivered on October 17th. So there's still a lot going on there. It's moving fast. It's getting really exciting. So we'll just keep you updated on that. Thank you.
So, Jen?
So Michelle, I mentioned you're going to cover Tigerama. All right. Awesome. I think most of what I was, activities for the past couple of weeks have already been covered. Just want to reiterate, if anybody missed Katie Greer, do plan on attending if you have the opportunity to when she comes back. I don't know if that'll be a repeat parenting or just for the students, but even if it's just both. So yeah, well worth it. I've seen her multiple times before, but every time she comes, it's new and up to date information and always extremely eye-opening. And you go home feeling empowered, but also mildly horrified. But it's all good. We need to know what our kids are up to. So it's certainly well done. And I'm looking forward to next Tuesday's presentation, the Just Talk About It presentation that was spoken about earlier, which is one of the presentations sponsored by that very generous grant that we received. And then there's so much going on with athletics that I don't want to mention any specific teams because they're all killing it. But I get the Hockomock sports updates and team after division after sport after sport. There's OA right at or very close to the top of the division, and I think golf is still undefeated as of yesterday. So they beat Franklin, they beat Canton, they beat all their rivals so far. So it's been really exciting, and we should have a good postseason coming up in November, I suspect, for a lot of those teams. So great job to all of the student athletes and their coaches, the athletic staff, and of course their families who are tasked with transportation and feeding them all and getting them all where they need to go. So it's really fun and exciting to watch. That's it.
Golf is 11-0.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they beat Franklin, who was considered like the #1 seed by 1 stroke. So yeah, it's fun to watch them.
I also wanted to say that the professional status was awesome. It's always kind of a relief when you make it to the end of that first 3 years. You're like, yeah, I did it. I cannot imagine doing that in COVID, my first 3 years of teaching. And some of them got a little teary-eyed because it's a lot. Even Dr. Cabral talking about COVID. I just can't even imagine. So kudos to them and congratulations. The marching band Tigerama is this Saturday at 5 o'clock, but get there early. It's going to be packed. There's 10 bands coming to compete. This is the first time that OA has hosted a competition since 2001. It's a humongous deal. There's going to be food trucks and lots of music, and it's just going to be an amazing time. So come on out. Adult tickets are $10, students are $8, and it is cash only, just so you're prepared. But come out and support them. They worked really hard. Our music parents have worked extremely hard organizing this and bringing it together in the music department, and it's just going to be an amazing time. So I hope to see you all at Tigerama. And
yeah. One more thing. The RO Boosterthon, I believe, is tomorrow. So have fun, and thank you to the RO PTA for sponsoring that again. And I understand that a big goal of this year's fundraiser is to raise funds for the future revamped playground at RO. So thank you to all of the families and families and friends who've donated to that great cause. Really appreciate it.
What is a Boosterthon?
Oh, Boosterthon is a fun run. It is a massively successful fundraiser that, full disclosure, I was totally against when I was in RO at the PTA and never thought that we would get anywhere near the targets that they told us we would hit. And I said, that'll never happen, but let's give it a go. And they blew away any fundraising that we had ever done that had taken months of parent work and decking out the school and doing these multiple events because there's so many kids in that school. We've had 2 weekends in a row to do these big fundraisers and made very little in comparison to what this very successful Boosterthon fun run does. So the kids they get pledges and they run around a small track that's set up over at the high school, but it's just a blast. I mean, the atmosphere around it, it's incredibly positive, and just very, very well done. So it's a nice, really fun event, and it doesn't require teachers taking a ton of time out of their day to collect raffle basket items and sell tickets and all those things that we used to have them do for less productive fundraisers. So I was definitely, I was a skeptic, but I'm a convert. So it's been, I don't know, probably 8 years, maybe 7 or 8 years since they've been doing it. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah, it's a great fundraiser.
Thank you. All right.
Welcome.
So I would like to make a motion to enter an executive session, and we will be returning to open session for the purpose to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining for Unit B and paraprofessional unit. And in my opinion, having this discussion in public will be detrimental to the bargaining position of the school committee. Do I have a second?
Wiseman,
O'Neill
second.
seconds.
Roll call
Give it to
vote.
Jackie. O'Neill, yes.
Durance, yes.
DeLuca, yes.
Wiseman, yes.
Star, yes.
All right, great. I'll see you over there, and we will be back. Lynn, Dr. Cabral's in the attendees. Are we waiting for Jackie? All right, I think everyone's back. So I would like to make a motion to accept the Unit B contract. Do I have a second?
Star second.
Roll call vote.
O'Neill, yes.
Durance, yes.
Luca, yes.
Wiseman, yes.
Star, yes.
All right, excellent. And then before we adjourn, our next meeting is October 20th at 5 o'clock. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
O'Neill, so move.
A second?
Wiseman, second.
Roll call vote.
O'Neill, yes.
Durance, yes.
Luca, yes.
Wiseman, yes.
Star, yes.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good evening.
Good night. Bye.
Good night, everyone.